Let's go back to Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ took place this way. Should not be rendered that way. It should be rendered, the origins of Jesus Messiah are thus. That's the proper topic sentence, and that's the proper translation. Like you're reading a comic book by Stan Lee, you know how you have, or DC Comics, you're reading the origin of Superman, right? You know, an origin of Batman, an origin of Dracula. Well, now you've got origin of Jesus Messiah, okay? That's what the story, it should be that way, verse 18. Now, you probably don't have Jesus Messiah in your own English translation. What do you probably have there? A little English, an anglicized version of a Greek word. What do you have? Christ, right? Jesus Christ, the name you can trust. You have a name there like Jesus Christ, capital J, capital C, just like John Pilch and Bruce Molina and Sergio Guzman and Sixto Garcia and Liam Quinn and all the others. Names like Marco Patitucci, right? And Mary Orfino. All right. Great, that's awesome. There's only one problem. Christ is not his last name, folks. Christ is not Jesus' last name. And his middle initial is not H. Christ is not a name at all. It's a title. It's a political title for political religion. It would be good every time you see Jesus Christ to scratch out Christ. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. And put whatever you find in the Bible and render it as a title, a function that he plays. A function that he plays. This is affected in languages. Jesus Christo is like one word, right? All right, but it's not Jesus Christ. Christ is not his last name. Its title means Messiah, anointed one, a political office. Yeah.
In between Jesus and Christ, they should have love.
Actually, only when it says Yesun ho Christun. If it has the article ho, then you're fine with that. If it has the article Omicron, because it's the. But no, Jesus Messiah. It should be Jesus come Messiah. It should be like this. This is the origin of Jesus Messiah. That's your topic sentence.
And Jesus is also the Greek version.
I'm sorry?
The name Jesus is the Greek
version. Is the Greek version, but that's fine. The Greek version, you can be honest to it, because there's certain ways of translating names, and the way Matthew renders it, Jesus, and the way it's come down. That's not. Yes, you can. There's a point where you start nitpicking at every single thing you can translate. Mm-hmm. Is it better to translate it as Joshua or Yeshua? Neither really. Jesus, it's understood. Jesus isn't the main problem. You could do that. I can't say that's illegitimate. If you want to go that far, you want to do that, Yeshua. This is the origin of Yeshua, Messiah. Okay. But the main problem here is using Christ as a last name. That's a more significant issue. It's not his last name, and H is not his middle initial. This is the origin of Jesus Messiah. How did it happen? Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. This is the origin of Jesus Messiah. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph. Stop. Let's observe this with curiosity. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph. Some English translations render it this way, accompanied by the beautiful Kitchgart. When his mother Mary was engaged to Joseph. Why is that a problem? Why would that be wrong to say engaged? Why is it not engagement? Well, okay, but why wouldn't they do engagement?
Because they were betrothed.
What's the difference between being betrothed and being engaged?
Because family goes on to back is a given.
I'm sorry, was that Lenore?
It's a given.
Betrothal is arranged. Engagement is between self-selecting individualistic partners in the West.
And what is your point then?
Engaged would be American or Western or like Downton Abbey. It's translating. So engaged would be an ethnocentric to our culture. In our culture, we have individualists who select through their free choice those whom their tastes prefer, and they're self-selecting partners. Engagement has to do with self-selecting partners. Betrothal has to do with arrangement. The parents arrange. Okay. You don't choose your partner. That's why every time I hear about Jesus being married to Mary Magdalene, it's so ridiculous when you start thinking about it. If he got married to anybody, it would have been arranged. right?
Yeah.
And who would he have been married to?
Cousin.
Aha, there you go. And his cousin would have lived, since everybody lives patrolocally, would have been in his village, Nazareth, not in Magdala.
Oh, right.
So what they've done, Dan Brown, I love how they praise him. Oh, he's just so awesome and so brilliant. Yeah, he is a storyteller.
Right.
But when it comes to getting the culture, it's very poor. He's treating Jesus like an American. He's an American walking around in ancient Middle Eastern dress.
They had no rebels in those days.
Of course they did. Of course they, and he wasn't one like that.
How do we know?
We know because we can assemble a plausible personality type and see where he fits in the spectrum. Yeah, and he wasn't that way.
The government thought he was a rebel.
No, he was a rebel that way. In those ways, he was counter-structural, not counter-cultural, Joe. There's a difference. We've talked about that before.
I like the way you said that. That was good.
Yeah, he's not against the values of his culture. So moving right along, engaged would be very American, ethnocentric, and for translating the Middle Eastern text, it would be very wrong. Engagement takes place between self-selecting partners. Betrothal is always arranged by parents. So engaged is not the right word here. Betrothed is the appropriate word here. Okay, how does this work, betrothal? Recall that for the Middle Eastern males like Joseph, it's got to be father's brother's daughter. That means that sometime after the birth of Joseph and his eligible partner, the women privately arranged this, and the men publicly, formally, ratified this. That's how it works in the Middle East. Yes,
And
Pina.
it makes sense because in those days there were not that many people in the village to go around, so they had to do it that way.
Yeah, and that's a sustainable society. They still do this to this day. In the Middle East, this is how it is.
Yeah.
This continues to this day. Women arrange the marriage on the inside. Men ratify it on the outside, publicly, right? That's how it goes. Mediterranean women know the inside very well. They can and do pull all the strings, manipulate, mess around, scheme and plan, and browbeat and beat down the men privately, never publicly. Never. They have no power publicly, but privately they rule. But you don't know about that because do cameras go inside the Middle Eastern home? No, they don't dare go in there. They can't get in there. So all you see is what's public. But in the Middle East, what is said is one thing and what is done is another. And they will roll in the blood in the ditches and my armies will kill them. And then he went and had tea. What you say is one thing and what you do is another. Aye, aye, Father, I will go into the field and work. And then he didn't go. He never had any intention of going, but he honored his father. He didn't obey his father, which is what Jesus' question was, which one of the two sons obeyed his father? He didn't obey him, but he honored him. What? Because he told him publicly what he wanted to hear. And that's how it is in the Middle East. So women have lots of power from the inside. That this real power is not exercised in public does not make the power unreal. And here's where liberal Americans come in. We want to make them all into Americans. And conservative Americans, so let's destroy all these backwards people. No, folks. You don't understand what you're destroying or saving. You're trying to make them into Americans. Anyway, the domain of men in this cultural world is the public world, but the women rule the private world. Dracula, I don't want to say women are Dracula, okay? They're not. But Dracula is very powerful, just at certain times, right? And it's the same thing.